Imagine you're living 1.2 million years ago. No electricity, no candles, not even a bedtime story. Just you, the darkness, and the sound of footsteps somewhere beyond what you can see. Now imagine that one species on Earth did something no other creature had ever done. It tamed the one force every living thing feared. A force that could kill, destroy, and consume everything in its path. But instead of running from it, our ancestors chose to master it. That single decision is the reason you're watching this video today, on a glowing screen, in a warm room, after a long day of work that might never have existed without that moment. Today, we're traveling back more than 1 million years to discover how a single spark changed the course of life on Earth forever. So stay with me, because what you're about to learn will change the way you look at something as ordinary as lighting a cigarette lighter or turning on a gas stove. Let's be clear, humans were not always the masters of this planet. Before we learned to control fire, we were easy prey. Imagine our ancestors, Homo habilis and later Homo erectus, living in the East African plains. Daytime was for survival, searching for food, hunting, gathering fruit. But as the sun set, everything came to a stop. Ask yourself, how many times have you felt afraid in total darkness with no light at all? Now imagine that was your every night, your entire life, and the lives of everyone before you. Without fire, our ancestors ate their food raw, which meant much longer chewing and digestion times, and less usable energy reaching the body. Were exposed to predators throughout the night, from lions to hyenas. Were confined to warmer regions, since migrating north or south into colder areas often meant death by freezing. Had no advanced way to shape their tools, as many techniques required heat and controlled fire. Anthropologists describe this phase as a true bottleneck in human evolution. Everything was constrained by the absence of a single element. But all of this was about to change. Here comes the fascinating part. Fire was never invented. It was discovered. Fire had existed in nature for millions of years before humans ever appeared. Volcanoes, lightning strikes, and even the rare friction of rocks under the right conditions regularly ignited natural wildfires. Here's an incredible fact. The oldest known evidence of humans interacting with fire comes from a cave called Wonderwork Cave in South Africa. Archaeologists discovered ash and charred animal bones deep inside the cave, dating back to nearly 1 million years ago, far beyond the reach of any natural wildfire. What does this mean? It suggests that, around 1 million years ago, an early human encountered a fire sparked by lightning or a natural wildfire, carefully carried a burning branch or ember, and brought it back into the cave. Take a moment to imagine that scene. That individual knew nothing about chemistry or physics. All they understood was that this frightening, mysterious force could become incredibly useful if handled with extreme care. But this raises an important question. How do you keep a fire alive for days, or even weeks? That was humanity's first challenge. At this stage, people were preserving fire, not creating it. Early human groups likely took turns watching over the flames around the clock, constantly feeding them with branches and firewood, day and night. If the fire went out, they might not encounter another natural blaze for months or even years. But relying on chance could only take humanity so far. At some point, everything changed. Humans learned how to make fire themselves. Imagine the difference between someone who waits for rain to drink and someone who digs a well. That is exactly the difference between finding fire and making fire. Early humans eventually discovered two main methods of creating fire. The first method, friction. By rapidly spinning a dry wooden stick against another piece of dry wood, the heat generated by friction could ignite fine wood dust into a glowing ember. Imagine the patience, precision, and determination it took to master this skill. The second method, percussion. By striking flint against a mineral such as pyrite, often called fool's gold, early humans produced sparks capable of igniting dry tinder, including grasses and certain fungi. A fascinating fact, archaeological evidence from Zucudian suggests that Homo erectus was using fire regularly around 400,000 years ago. However, widespread mastery of fire-making across multiple sites around the world appears to have developed later, roughly between 400,000 and 300,000 years ago. Here's the intriguing question: why did it take so long? Because making fire is far more difficult than movies make it seem. It requires the right materials, completely dry tinder, proper technique, and countless failed attempts before success. More importantly, it demanded knowledge, a skill that had to be passed carefully from one generation to the next over thousands of years. Once humans mastered this ability, they were no longer at the mercy of chance. For the first time in history, they could create something essential whenever they needed it, by their own hands and their own will. Here's the part that completely changes the way you think about fire. It wasn't just a convenient tool. It was the engine that reshaped the human body, the human brain, and human society. 1. Cooked food equals a bigger brain. Cooking breaks down tough fibers and complex proteins before they even enter our bodies. As a result, we spend far less energy digesting food while extracting more calories from the very same meal. Think of it like upgrading to a machine that consumes less energy but produces more power. According to many evolutionary scientists, that surplus energy was redirected to feeding one extraordinarily energy-hungry organ, the brain. Although the human brain accounts for only about 2% of our body weight, it consumes roughly 20% of the body's total energy. Without the extra calories made available by cooked food, it's difficult to imagine how the human brain could have evolved to its remarkable size. 2. Safety after dark. Fire transformed the night. Its light and heat kept many predators at a distance, allowing early humans to sleep more deeply and more securely. Better sleep is closely linked to stronger memory, improved learning, and enhanced cognitive performance, giving our ancestors another crucial evolutionary advantage. 3. conquering the world. With a portable source of warmth, humans were no longer confined to tropical climates. Fire allowed them to migrate into colder regions, northward into Europe and eastward across Asia, carrying warmth wherever they traveled. It opened the door to environments that would have been impossible to survive without it. 4. The birth of true society. A small group of early humans sitting together in a circle around a fire after a long day of hunting and gathering. The work is finished. For the first time, they have something incredibly rare: time. What do people do when they have safe, unhurried time together? They talk. They tell stories. They plan for tomorrow. They teach their children. They share emotions, experiences, and ideas. Many anthropologists believe that these nightly gatherings around the fire became humanity's first true social spaces. Some even suggest they played a crucial role in the evolution of complex language itself, because, for the first time in history, humans had safe moments of leisure that needed to be filled with conversation. Fire did not remain merely a practical tool. It became a sacred symbol in nearly every civilization. In Greek mythology, Prometheus steals fire from the gods and gives it to humanity, only to suffer an eternal punishment for his defiance. In the ancient Persian religion of Zoroastrianism, fire symbolizes purity and divine truth. And across the cultures of indigenous peoples around the world, fire plays a central role in rituals of birth, marriage, and death. Why do you think fire came to hold such profound spiritual significance? Because, quite simply, it was the one force that gave humanity the power to control something that had terrified our ancestors for millions of years. And victories of that magnitude are never easily forgotten. So the next time you turn on your gas stove to make your morning coffee, or sit beside a warm fireplace on a cold night, remember this: you are repeating an act your ancestors performed over 1 million years ago. The tools have changed, but our relationship with that very first spark has never faded. Humanity didn't just discover fire. Through fire, it discovered its true potential. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think the world would look like if humans had never discovered fire? Don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating journeys through the greatest discoveries in human history. See you in the next video.